Ever since I've had COVID, we're live now. Thank you for pushing the button.
Hi, everybody. I'm here tonight with my business coach, Melissa, and she's on here to tell us about her story and how she made a decision a couple of years ago to change her life and completely change it from doing one thing and then doing something different. She is been helping me with things that I have been struggling with. And so I just thought it would be a good opportunity to have her come on and tell us about what she went through and what she started and how that's progressing. So thanks, Melissa.
Thank you. I was trying to share it while you were talking, and anyone that knows me knows I cannot multitask. I'm like trying to pay attention. I'm like, can I share this? And I didn't get it shared. Womp, 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 but I will. So thank you so much for having me on here. Super, super proud of the work that you are doing. And also, this is a topic that I'm super passionate about. Getting in the funk is something that I think if we haven't gone through it yet, we will eventually be going through it. And it's probably going to happen more than once, right? As much as we would like to think, oh my gosh, I got out of the funk, I got out of the pit. Before you know it, if you're not careful, you're going to be knocked right back in there. So I love talking about this and just helping people understand that it's a decision that you get to make, whether you stay there or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because when I had decided to change, I just felt like I couldn't keep going on the way I was going. I thought I need to refocus this thing that's holding me back and focus on something that's positive. So, and then that's when I had reached out to you, and then I started from there. So it wasn't easy at first. I mean, I didn't even know what to do.
Yeah.
I was like, I know I need a change, but what do I do?
Right. I know for me, a little backstory. For those who don't know me, I'm Melissa Batt, and I moved it really started probably in 2018. We sold our house. We moved into a townhouse. That was like a disruptor in life of doing what we were doing. And then from there, it was just like, this led to this, but I realized at that point, I hadn't grieved the loss of my stepdad. He actually passed away in 2015, but I think sometimes when you're in survival mode, you have to be able to survive. And for me, I'm not a psychologist, although I was going to go to school for that. But I feel like there are some things that if you were to feel the emotions and go through them at that time, you would not be able to. And that is how I think I was in 2015. My business was through the roof. I was allowed to take 90 days to just be still. And I was like, I can't. Like, I mean, the business was booming. How do you just be like, time out? No, yeah. They would go to someone else and I would lose those customers. And so in between that, I had a hysterectomy. My stepdad died. This is all in the same month. I had a hysterectomy. I was in my 30s, by the way, when I had a hysterectomy. So that's really young for a hysterectomy. I had 4 kids. My youngest one was 4. And my husband took a job in North Carolina, which meant that we were in the process of moving then to North Carolina. We didn't end up moving to North Carolina, but he took the job and he would go back and forth. And so like I was managing parenting for both, which I know some people do that all the time. But when it's any kind of time, there is a change from the regular, it like flips you upside down, right? And so I was not used to that. And so did I do it? Yes. Did I do it well? I actually think I did it pretty well. But in that, like, I could not grieve. And so when, you know, it took me probably 3 or 4 years before I could. And what took me to that point of being able to grieve was really slowing down. When we moved, we sold our house. We moved into the townhouse. And then my husband got another job that moved us here to Kentucky. And we moved to Kentucky. That was like a very quick, very fast move. Like he had the interview in October, and November 1st, he started the job. And we moved in December at the end of the semester, right at Christmas. And so at that point, I was managing my emotions just with like the move that I didn't want to do, parenting again for the both of us, but also managing 4 kids' emotions who were in school. All of them were in school. My oldest was a junior, and like, I just, you know, managing his emotions, and, you know, they had girlfriends, they had lives, they had to pick everything up and go. And so I had to slow down at that point because I had to take care of my kids.
Right. And so were the 3 older ones, were they all teens at that time, or? No,
just the older 2.
Oh, okay.
The youngest one still isn't a teenager. He turns a teenager this year. And
but the older can't wait.
Yeah, but I mean, I would definitely say it was the older 2, the teenagers, who I had to really, like, it's hard for us to, like, I cannot manage their emotions. But at that time, as a mother, I was very much focused on trying to control their emotions and help them manage their emotions and just be there, you know? So I took a break and was like, I need to be present. And in that time of being present, that really is when the grieving process started. And then when I moved to Kentucky, like I felt sorry for myself for a little bit, you know, my kids got into school and they were doing good. And then I could feel sorry for myself. I didn't want to move. I didn't like it. I didn't want to be there. And who wants to move to Kentucky? Who wants to move to Corbin, Kentucky? It was not on my list. Most people are like, what made you come from South Carolina to Corbin, Kentucky? It was not my plan, I can tell you that. But God is good. So I remember being in this conversation with a friend and just realizing that I knew God had to bring us here for a reason. I knew that we had prayed about it, and I knew that I had peace in the move, even though I didn't want to do it. And I was feeling sorry for myself. I still knew that this was what God was wanting us to do. And in that, like, he just kind of reminded me of some things that I had on my heart long time ago. And I was talking to a friend about that, because where we are is one of the poorest counties in the entire state of Kentucky.
Oh, wow.
So in that, like, I knew I wanted to create a nonprofit, and I was telling my friend about it. And she's like, Melissa, you've been thinking about this for 10 years. You've been talking about this. Like, are you any closer today? And I was like, no. And she was like, well, what are you going to do about it? And I'm like, okay, I guess I'm going to have to figure this out.
You put me on the spot.
Yeah. And so that day I kind of made a decision, and I'd love to say I could snap my fingers and automatically get out of the funk. That didn't work that well.
No.
Right? I'm like, snap my fingers. Let's go. I wish.
I mean, like, you know, when you grow, you're young and you like have these aspirations and these dreams and things. And then, you know, life happens and it takes, you know, a different turn. And then now it's like you come back to that place of those dreams. And it's like, yeah, I forgot about those. Can those things really happen? You know? And it's like, I'm scared. I don't know if I really want to do this now. I mean, yeah, I was young and, carefree at that time, but now it's like, and the opportunity is right here. And I'm like, it's gulping in my throat.
Right? Yes, yes. Definitely so. But I had to take it one day at a time. And
Yeah.
I felt God asking me the question, are you willing to do this? And I had to say yes. And so I did. And, I don't know. Are we talking about the funk? That is like the main focus, right? Okay, well, let me tell you. I don't know about you, but when I'm in the funk, it's a comfortable place.
Oh,
Everyone talks about like it being this awful place. I was in my bed, binge watching Real Housewives of Orange County. That was my funk. Does that sound like a bad place to be? That's my dream, or I thought it was my dream.
I'd have sweatpants on for sure.
Yeah, like I was so checked out of everything. I was not being intentional. I was just wishing the days away. That right there is probably one sign that you're in a funk.
Yeah.
You're wishing your days away. You can't wait for the day to be over. And you're just going through the motions. Like you are not in control of your life, which, we're not necessarily in control of our life, but there's a difference between going through the motions and just letting life happen or living with intentions.
Right.
To have a fulfilled life.
Yeah, I think once I made a decision to be more intentional with some of the things that I needed to change. I mean, even though I haven't accomplished those, but just knowing that it's in the forefront of my mind and I'm working on it daily, it's really carefree. And I felt like a break of shoulders, like a ton of bricks were lifted off my shoulders.
You're talking me like me these days. That's something
I mean, my shoulders feel like bricks sometimes. But yeah, it's just a heavy weight, Anyway, it's just freeing. I just felt like it was free. I'm like, what does that mean to be intentional? I mean, what did it really mean? And just having to write down goals and being very conscientious about each thing that you're doing. In the beginning, it feels like it's one big thing, like, oh, I'm going to vacuum the carpet, but then it gets a little easier and it gets more focused and, you can pinpoint, like personality things that you need to work on, or technical things, things like that. So,
I know for me, I was super lethargic. And I mean, here's something I always say. This is like my pet peeve. People would have viewed me as lazy because I was in my bed all day long, laying in bed, watching Real Housewives, living my best life. I believe laziness is a symptom of a bigger problem.
Oh, yeah.
It's how, like, you're not just lazy. There's a reason why you're, you know, not doing anything. And so I made a decision at that time that even on a bad day, I would walk to the mailbox. That was my little thing that I did. I was going to walk to the mailbox. It wasn't that far. For those of you who are like, dang, her mailbox must have been like a mile. No, it wasn't far at all. And that was the point, because if I could walk to the mailbox, even on a bad day, even in a snowstorm, even in the rain, even with a migraine, because, you know, when you're in the funk and you're struggling with depression and anxiety and all that, like, I mean, some days it's literally all you can do to shower or brush your teeth. I mean, there were days that I was struggling to even do that.
Right. Oh, yeah. I was definitely there. And I mean, I would go days like I work from home and I have my office upstairs. I mean, just climbing the stairs to get to work on time, like I'm late to work, you know. I mean, how does that even happen, you know? And it's just, you just have no will to do anything.
Yeah.
And I get out of this place. This is dark and scary.
Baby steps. Baby steps.
Right.
So I made that decision to go to the mailbox. And for me, it was, sometimes I do better helping other people than I do helping myself. And so I was like, who else is feeling this way? Let's walk to the mailbox together, and so I did this mailbox challenge and invited all my friends to go to the mailbox with me. And they probably thought I was crazy, but they did it. And I did it. And when I got to the mailbox, I could choose whether I wanted to continue walking or I wanted to turn around and go back inside and go back to my bed. But I had at least that was my baby step. That was my first baby step of just, for me personally, it was about making the decision to move forward. So that movement and walking, I was literally walking forward. And so for me, there was something super powerful in that. And especially on the hard days when I really could barely make it to the mailbox, making that decision was very powerful.
Right. And for me, it was, I did the 15-minute clarity call that you offer. Yes. And I was like, I don't even know why I signed up for this, because I was like, let me see what's on her calendar. And I picked out a day, and I was like, what are you going to tell her? What are you going to say? I'm like, I don't know. And I just started from there, writing down things and listed out things that was really hindering me, especially at home, and my house and things that were stressing me out, things that I could control, because there's a lot of things that has happened that I have no control over. I want to react, and fix it, but I can't, because it's out of my hands, And I fixed things that I had control over, I couldn't hear. So I went to the doctor and got hearing aids. Welcome
to the club. Welcome to the club. I honestly think there's probably so many others that should have them, but they haven't been brave enough to cross on over and admit probably need a little help. I don't know why it's easy for us to go and get glasses, but there is such a stigma around hearing aids, and I hate it.
Well, I wish now I would have gotten them long ago, when I was younger, because I thought there's times when I think back with conversations I had with people that I thought I knew what they were saying, but I had no idea. I really didn't, and I did myself a disservice, and I did them a disservice, They probably thought I was just, a non-conversationalist, because I could never engage in conversation, because half the time I didn't even know what they were saying. It was just, it's been a lot better now. I still struggle sometimes. And somebody commented, I wish you would have gotten it a long time ago.
Oh, I hadn't even been looking at the comment. That's funny.
That's probably one of my family members.
Shout out to you, Facebook user.
Or maybe it's Oliver, my son. But anyway, I just, things like that. I was just so embarrassed about it. I just kept picturing myself, that lady on Hee Haw with the big horn thing sticking out of her ear. Oh, it's my sister Marcy. But anyway, I kept picturing that. But people don't even know I have them unless I tell them, so I just need to get over it.
Me too. It was hard. And I don't know why, we make it this big thing when people don't care.
No.
You think, I was so insecure about it. I wouldn't wear my hair down, or I wouldn't wear my hair up, because then they might see them, which I'm not actually even wearing them today. I should be, but I've been on calls all day and had these in. And so I was like, I'm not even going to put them in. But I don't know why we do that. But everyone has their insecurities. And we just need to get over it and realize it is what it is. I can't help it. I didn't cause it. I didn't. It's not my fault. But it is what it is. And for the record, most of them are just like, hallelujah, finally. That's probably what they would be thinking, right? Like,
I'm tired of repeating myself.
Yes. Yeah.
Oliver would say, you've got your hearing aids in that you made me repeat myself. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're in. I just turned them off.
Yeah.
So I know that you went from South Carolina to Kentucky. And so what was after the mailbox thing? what was the next thing that you did? So
I really just, I would love to say that it went great from there, but it didn't, because again, that's life. Every time you think you've gotten it under control and everything is good, something happens to kind of knock you back down. And that happened. I think the mailbox was a point when, from there, I found became, what is the word I'm looking for? Created the Real Talk Tribe. That's where we did the mailbox challenge. And that's a free community group, which has a huge, I wrote down right here in front of me, my mission, where I'm going, all as many steps as possible. And I just said, okay, we're going to do this. I'm, whatever that next step is, I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to do it. And so I did that, and I thought I had it figured out, and I was going to live my best life, and it didn't happen. But in that, my biggest fear was that I would go right back to the pit. Yeah. That was my biggest fear. When life came and hit me again and knocked me down, I remember crying live in a video for the Real Talk Tribe community. And I'm just like, I have worked so hard to get out of the funk and climb out of this pit. And I'm terrified that I'm going to go right back into that. Yeah. And I did.
Yeah. It's life. Life keeps happening. The
goal isn't to stay there, right?
Right.
So
that's the secret.
Take your day, take your week if you want, but at some point you have to make a decision and recognize that every day that you're living in the victim mindset and really just having the pity party for yourself doesn't mean you don't deserve that pity party, because sometimes when life happens, it sucks. It's really hard and we hate it and we don't deserve it. Right. But in those moments, us feeling sorry for ourselves is only doing us the disservice, right? It's only holding you back. It's only holding me back. And so it comes to a point where you have to say, okay, I cannot continue to wallow here, because I have to get out of this. I've got to move forward.
When you stay in that state, it's bad on you, but your family, they need you. They need you to not be like that. They need you to, put on deodorant, and brush your teeth,
shower,
and clean your house.
I did go to the doctor too, for the record. I do want to make that point that when it came to the point when I realized that it was all I could do to brush my teeth and shower, that's when I knew I was like, I cannot do this on my own. I'm going to need to go to the doctor. And so I went to the doctor, got on some medication, and definitely that I needed that help at that time.
Yeah.
And now, to be honest.
Oh yeah. I've taken medication for a long time, but so how has your kids transitioned from, 2018, 2019 till now. I mean, are they doing better, or they still struggle, or?
No,
I
they're
mean,
good. I think one of my kids definitely struggled more than the others. Had some anxiety, definitely had some depression. The child that I thought would have been okay, actually, it probably was the two children that I was the most worried about were fine. It was the other two that struggled. And, we still have moments where, I am worried that, he'll hurt himself or something like that. But for the most part, I feel like we're in a really good place.
And your oldest moved out, right? He's out on his own.
He might be moving back in, though, from what I've heard. Like, that didn't last long. I love him, though. I love him.
I
tried to tell him not to move yet. Anyway, I was like, "This is dumb. Why are you wanting to move already? Like,
they want to try. They want to try." And then, like my youngest, he went through the same thing. He went out and did all this different stuff. And he's like, "Mom, adulting is so hard. It's so depressing. I gotta work."
Yeah, now he recognizes that he could actually save money if he lived here. And I'm like, I tried to tell you that.
I know, but they have to learn on their own.
That is hard. That is hard for this mama because I want to tell them what to do still. But, even my 17-year-old, I've learned, like, I can't tell him what to do. He's 17. Yes, like, can I force him to do some things? I mean, he's like 6'4". I'm not quite sure, but I'm going to do my best to guide him and direct him in making the good decisions, for sure.
Right. Well, I mean, usually, my youngest, when I was talking to him, he's like, "I don't have to do what you say, Mom, but I do it because I respect you." I'm like, "Oh, that's why you're my baby."
Yeah. My 17-year-old, he said, this week he was hanging out with some friends, and I was like, "What are you doing? Where are you?" Because he didn't tell me where he was going, and he was like, "I'm out with some friends." And I was like, "What time are you going to be home?" And he said, "Midnight." I said, "How about 11:30?" And he was like, "Okay." And he was home by 10 after 11. Like, and I was like, "You didn't even need that midnight. You just wanted to see how far you could push it,
Yeah, exactly. That's just the way they are.
I was like, "I'm pretty sure there's a curfew." But I actually, no, I started to write that, and I was like, no, because he's going to Google it and he will argue with me and he will be like, "There," and I was like, nope, I'm just going to say, "How about 11:30?"
Yeah. So, so you started the Real Talk Tribe. How has that progressed? And what kind of a community are you trying to grow with that?
Oh my gosh. Put me on the spot. I didn't know you were going to ask this question. So it is so good. I am just in awe of, a lot of the times when I had this big vision. Honestly, I didn't even know how things were connected. I just felt like I knew I wanted to create this nonprofit for women and families who need a hand and help up versus just handouts, because a handout is not going to help them in the future. I want to help them in their future. And so I knew that I wanted to create this nonprofit, and I knew that I wanted to create a community where we could just be real. I am an introvert. You're an introvert too, right? We like to talk. We do not like small talk. I want to go beyond the surface. Like, don't tell me, let's not talk about the weather. Let's talk about why you haven't been able to sleep for 3 days because obvious, like you've been struggling. Like, let's talk about the struggle. I just saw you walk out of the bathroom crying. I want to know what's going on and what I can do to help. That can be super annoying to some people, but I think it's also a breath of fresh air for other women to know, like, there's a whole community that feel that way, but also that they can have a place where they can come and let it, like, just let it out and be like, I'm struggling with this, or I'm struggling with this, or I'm having an amazing day, or whatever. So the Real Talk Tribe community is really a place where it's a free community and a place where you can just come in and connect with other women who are not going to judge you. They will celebrate you. They will encourage you, and they will link arms with you and help you when you're struggling. Because I know that's what I needed. And I think every woman needs that.
Right.
So that's the beginning of the Real Talk Tribe community. Later, there will be lots of other, she pulls the information out of you one way or another. Stephanie says, that's funny. Shout out to Stephanie. She's actually our Real Talk Tribe chief encourager. So one of the things that I really have loved in doing the Real Talk Tribe community is I've been able to help other women who are wanting to live out their dreams. I've now pay 3 different people to help me. So that's giving back to the community. We're able to, with the Success Lounge, because even though when I started the Real Talk Tribe, I was like, okay, I'm going to become some kind of life coach. I knew that God was calling me to be more of a business coach, wanting me to lean into that. But I was so worried about what people would think about it. So life coach felt safe.
Yeah.
Except that when I was actually in the process of writing out a course on how to get out of the funk. And in that, I got right back into the funk, and I was like, how am I going to teach this? Like, I'm right back here, And so that is like, God definitely used that for me to know to lean straight into the Girl Boss community. And it didn't make sense. I didn't understand it, but I knew that's what he was saying. So I said, okay, here I am, Lord, use me. And so I leaned into the Girl Boss community, which is a part of the Real Talk Tribe. And it is amazing to see how God, like, at the time, it didn't make sense. What does the Girl Boss community have to do with the Real Talk Tribe? What does the Girl Boss community have to do with the nonprofit? The nonprofit will create micro scholarships for women to learn a trade or monetize a skill to become an entrepreneur.
Oh, that's awesome.
Do you see how they go together? Like, it kind of seems obvious now how they go together, but at the time it didn't go together. Right. It didn't make sense, but I just had to take that next step in the dark, trust the process. I say all the time, baby step. Trust the process and know that at the end, you're going to learn and you're going to be closer one way or another of where you're trying to go.
I know I took stuck to Unstoppable.
Yes, the free workshop.
So it was a free workshop. And I ended up, I think you did it several times, like 2 or 3 different times. I did it each time. And each time, day 2, it just got me every time. I would be sitting here writing out things that I was struggling with and crying and going on about it. And I was like, I said, I need to do something. This is awful. I'm just like, kept that one day.
I'm trying to remember what day 2 was, because vision is where everyone gets stuck in the vision where they want to go.
Well, I mean, at the time I was still selling 31, so that was like a no-brainer for me. But that day 2 was all about I think it was about the imposter syndrome and what is keeping you, the insecurities and things like that. So it was like those interpersonal things that were holding me back. I mean, why would I do this, live Facebook when there's other people that is so much more better at it than I am, but I just, what I have to say, there's people out there that need to hear it. So that day, every time I would take that course, I would get stuck on that day. I'd be like over here boo-hooing and writing down my stuff. And I was like, I've got to get past this. This is a hill, not a mountain, you know. But yeah, I really enjoyed doing that course. So
I really should do it again. I haven't done it since I got COVID. So that was February. That was the last workshop. So we should probably do another one soon. I did a lot of them last year. And this year I was like, I'm going to see about, last year my goal was to focus on doing that very consistently. And I did. And this year I'm like, let's just see, I feel like I'm focusing in other areas and I will there's a challenge coming up called Check Your Posture. Super excited about that challenge. It's going to be really good. It's the beginning of August, starts August 2nd. In the Real Talk Girl Boss community, it is going to be fire. Just wait, Nikki. Michelle, Stephanie, just wait. It is going to be really, really good.
Oh, so Stephanie, serve, sell it.
Yes.
She's really good about that.
Yeah. So, I now, for those of you who don't know me, I've moved again. And in that move was probably the hardest because it looked like a setback. It definitely looked like I was taking a few steps backwards instead of moving forward. And it didn't make sense. But at the same time, it was the exact thing that I should have been doing. And I did that and we moved again. And I feel like there's freedom.
You just moved to a different house, right?
Right. Yeah. I'm still in Kentucky. We just moved to a different house, smaller house, no neighbors, no neighborhood. I learned a lot living in a neighborhood and what I did not like. The people pleaser part of me could not handle living in a neighborhood because my kids my husband does not care. My teenagers do not care. And I wanted to please everyone and have everyone like us. And that's impossible when you have a 17-year-old with a Mustang with the muffler cut off. So it's really loud, and a husband who's 42 and still loves to go bumping down the road with his system. True story.
I believe it.
Every day.
Well, now they can do it and not bother anybody.
Yes.
Maybe the cows.
Yes, the cows for sure. The cows, right? But I learned a lot, and it took me going through the hard to recognize the beauty of simplicity and knowing that what I thought I wanted isn't what I wanted at all. Right. And so I'm very thankful for all that I've gone through. I've grown so much from it. And the best part is that, when I was going through the hardest part was probably 2019, all of 2019. Yeah. And I didn't understand, why, poor me. But you know what? I got through that. And because I got through that, I was equipped to help all of the people in 2020 who was struggling with similar things. I had been through the hardest part. And 2020, with the pandemic and everything, everyone was pivoting and everyone was doing, going through the funk, having to stay at home, a lot of stress, a lot of being still. I had done that all before them. So then I could link arms with them and kind of walk them through that. And that was such a gift that it was sucky at the time, but there's purpose that can come from the pain, the heartache, the funk, the pit, whatever you want to call it.
I just remember thinking back on one of my very first interactions with that involved you. We were on some kind of a call after something with the 31 stuff, and you were stressing out about flying, and it was your very first time flying. I was like, oh my God, I know how she feels, but she can do it. I know she could do it. But then you did it, you know, your first time flying, and then now everything that's happened since then, you know, and it's like totally different person. You're more confident, you know, and you're like, yeah, you can do this. And, you know, when I'm over here, like him hauling around and like, I don't know, I don't think I can do it. You're like, you're going to do it.
You can do it. You can do it. Put your.
I'm like, okay. And then sometimes when I'm talking to people, I hear Melissa in the back of my head. Flip that script.
You're not the only person that has told me that. Gosh, how far I've come. I remember being terrified. You would not have been able to pay me to get on an airplane until we moved to South Carolina from Indiana. And then from there, I was like, okay, this isn't terrible. I had to take medication and listen to praise and worship music the whole way to keep me focused on Jesus. Give me peace, Jesus, like just over and over and over and over and over. Like there were certain songs I listened to the whole plane ride. But yeah, and now like I could get on a plane tomorrow and go somewhere on my own and be like, I can do this.
Yeah.
Do I like flying by myself? No, but I can do it.
Yeah.
I remember when I had to go through Atlanta airport. That was my scary. I was like, I can fly by myself, but not the Atlanta airport.
Well,
and then guess what happened?
That's just because that airport is insane. Okay? I hate it. I would rather not go through that airport.
Yeah. But it wasn't terrible. Like, I mean, I didn't even get lost. Believe it
I got
or not,
lost.
I had always depended on someone else to guide me. Mm-hmm. And so because of that, I never had to look at the signs.
Yeah.
And once I started looking at the signs, I just followed the signs. And the worst that would happen is I would get lost and I'd have to ask somebody. That's not, I mean, I know I'm an introvert and a homebody, but it's okay to speak to somebody and ask for help.
Right. Somebody says, recognize the elephant.
Every day.
Yeah.
Acknowledge the elephant.
Yeah.
Acknowledge the elephant.
Well, I'm really glad. I mean, is there anything else you want to add? I just, you know, I'm glad you came on to talk to me and my listeners about this because it's really helped me personally and have given me like some like joy, you know, excitement about doing something totally different. And yeah, it's scary. And am I doing it 100% the best way? Probably not. Because,
you're doing it messy. And that is the part that I'm the most proud of. I'm doing it messy. You're doing it messy. You know, we're not perfect. And therefore we do the best we can. And that is the best that we can do. God only needs us to show up and do the thing. He will do whatever he wants to do with it. That's not on us. Our job is just to be obedient, and you're doing that. I'm super proud of you for all that you're doing. Real quick, I do want to say one thing.
Okay.
You know, when I was creating the course on getting out of the funk, I felt like, who's singing? Is that on your end?
It's my husband.
Good stuff. You might want to keep that day job.
I'm sorry. He's playing a game and he finally defeated this monster.
Gotta love it.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Continue. Squirrels, you know, I have ADD. So, anyways, there are certain things that I did not recognize when I was creating that course that since talking to you, I have I'm like, oh yeah, that was part of it, you know?
Yeah.
Making that decision, yes, but you have even said your environment, changing your environment. You know, I know that a lot of people that struggle with depression or being in the funk, they're in a dark place, like their home is dark, or there's clutter, or it just needs a refresh, you know?
Exactly,
And so that is something that you can control. I know when I moved from the house we sold to the townhouse, like I spend the majority of my time at my home. Therefore, I need it to work for me. My husband knew when he was looking at houses without me, there are certain things I have to have. And one is a lot of light. Like I have to have a lot of light. It cannot be dark. Can't be a dark house. And that's something that if you have mentioned, like you're purging through our coaching calls, you know, that is for sure. That is, in my opinion, part of that pathway to getting out of the funk is clearing the clutter, because that clutter that's like in front of you or to the side of you is also up here, and it's keeping you like, it's like constipation.
Exactly. And it preoccupies your mind, and you can't focus on something that you need to work on or what you want to do. I mean, when I called that missions place and they're like, yeah, we'll come pick it up. And it was from Muncie, you know, and I had it all out. They came with this big truck and took it all. I was like, I mean, like, it felt so wonderful, you know, because not only, I mean, yes, I had trouble parting with some of it, but I just knew that they were going to be able to put it in the hands of people that needed it. You know, I didn't need 6 Tupperware bowls the same size, you know, in different colors. You know, I didn't need all that stuff. So yeah, that was like a big freak my shoulders off.
Yeah. Well, and I think recognizing if you're in the funk, making a decision, the first step is recognizing that you're in the funk. The second is making a decision whether you want to stay there or not. And the third thing is, when you've made the decision that you don't want to stay there, like what can you do to start getting out of the funk? Being still, recognizing what you do. Like I've turned to a lot of things when I'm in the funk to numb myself out. Thankfully, I haven't chosen drugs or alcohol, but I've chosen work. I've chosen food. I've chosen shopping. I've chosen a lot of, you know, Real Housewives. I'm telling you, like you watch that show and it's like, my life is not that bad. I mean, there's so much drama. Yeah, and that was something. I mean, seriously, it was like God told me, you've got to stop watching that.
Yeah.
Not because I didn't love it, because I still love it. And not because necessarily it's bad. I mean, they are fighting constantly. It's full of drama. But it was just not, it wasn't serving me. So you have to look at like the life that you're living and the decisions that you're making. Is it serving you? Is it serving where you feel God calling you to? And if not, what are you going to do about it?
Exactly.
And I love seeing what you're doing, that you're not willing to stay there. You're doing the things, and you're going to impact the lives of a lot of people.
Well, I hope so. I know I impacted my own life, and it's just, you know, a daily thing that we have to keep working on. I mean, I still stick my foot in my mouth, you know, and I have to eat crow and apologize, you know, but I mean, I just think it just gives you something to look forward to, you know. I'm not a piece of crap, and I'm going to, you know, make this crap better and keep trying, you know, each day. So some people may see that. Some people may see that as totally something negative. But, those aren't the people that are going to benefit from, the message that I have to tell them. So, but I do appreciate you coming on it.
Let me just clap for you for that saying. Yeah. Like, if you're not their cup of tea, that's on them.
Yeah.
But the people like that can't keep you from speaking the message that you feel called to speak, because the message you're called to speak is for someone. And if you're not saying it, they won't hear it.
Right.
And who cares what people think?
I know. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are like, I don't care what Nikki thinks. So, it's a two-way street.
You don't care what they think either, right?
Right.
Yes. So
okay.
This has been really good.
I know. I'm so glad that we finally were able to do this. We had some scheduling things happen. So, poor Michelle. She said, I'm trying not to care.
Okay. Well, while you care, just do it anyway.
Yeah.
If it okay, so you ask yourself, do you care more about what they think or what God thinks?
Right.
And if God is calling you to do it, I think you would say you care more about what God thinks.
Yeah.
Right?
I can see her face.
Ouch. I'm going to shoot it straight. That's what I do.
Yeah, she flips the script on us all the time.
Yes.
All right. Well, if you want to reach out to the Real Talk Tribe, you can find her on Facebook. And it is a positive place to be. And she does a challenge every month. And so I would urge, if you haven't joined already, to join. So even if you just oh, Michelle. So, but even if you just need some pick-me-ups, then yeah, I would definitely join that community, because it's there's been so many times when I just went there and just read a couple of little posts, that Stephanie might have put out, or even just, how can we pray for you this week? I mean, yeah, I may not get in there and say, I need this, but it's like, it's a comforting thought knowing that someone, cares enough to ask, and sometimes I have felt like that in the past, like, no, anybody freaking care, but, but they do. So, yeah, I would just urge you to reach out to the Real Talk Tribe. And if you have any questions, just message me or message Melissa, and we will answer them as best we can.
Yes. This month, our challenge is all about having fun. So, doing the unexpected. You want to go skinny dipping with your honey, you can do that this month. Don't go to jail and say Melissa said. I'm saying, if you have privacy in the back of yard, okay, have fun. Just do something unexpected.
But no pictures, right?
Right. You don't have to prove it to us. You don't have to prove it to us. Just have fun. We went roller skating and did laser tag. Go out and dance in the rain, just to have fun. Life is too short. We need to have fun and live our life. And when we do that, I believe we're resetting our rhythms. When you choose to go to the mailbox when you don't feel like getting out of bed, that's resetting your rhythms. When you try something new and get out of your comfort zone, you're resetting your rhythms. When you reset your rhythms, it's kind of like a shock to the system. And it's really good.
Yes. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in and your comments. Thank you, Melissa.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Bye.